this little background. Anyway, so welcome to another video, and today's video I'm going to talk a bit more about why I've created this channel, which means just sharing a little bit about my story. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. So I was diagnosed 18 years ago when I was 12 years old. And if you've been diagnosed with ME yourself, then you'll know that it's quite a long process. I think mine mine took about a year, and ME is a diagnosis of exclusion, so basically they test you for everything else that it could be based on your symptoms, and then if it's none of those things, it's ME. And yeah, so it took about a year for my diagnosis to come through. Oh, it was uncomfortable. It brought along a lot of uncomfortable changes. School was already challenging just because of the minor language barrier. I was already familiar with English because my mum is English and I was supposed to speak English at home, but I also have a learning disability, so that made school a little bit challenging. And then slap ME on top of that as well, difficulty with concentration and fatigue, brain fog, like I'm having right now shooting this video. And long story short, I went from being at school full-time, doing my hobbies outside of school, which was ballet, modern dance, gymnastics, and seeing my friends, to doing part-time school and just ballet, and then eventually stopping the ballet as well, to just focus on school. My personal life became more focused around those activity charts that if you have ME, or possibly even if you have long COVID or fibro or chronic fatigue syndrome, then you'll know that they get you to fill out these activity charts where you have to colour in blue, red, yellow and green, and all these different colours. They indicate different type of activity, blue being sleep, red being a high activity, yellow a medium low activity, and then you've got your green, which is your restorative activities. And the whole point of that activity chart, which is a hassle to fill in, or I always thought it was a hassle to fill in, was to just gain an insight into how you're spending your energy and how that's impacting on your overall energy, and then to from there make lifestyle changes so that you find a baseline, and then from that baseline you kind of live your life based off that baseline, and then try and gently increase that. And that is a system that I've tried to use multiple times, and I still occasionally dive back into, but for the most part I find it quite difficult to actually use, because ME isn't as that predictable, and it's just ME and life is just not a linear journey. It's much more of a roller coaster. It goes up and down, and therefore I've always found it tricky. A lot of my focus then also turned to my activity levels, where I was spending my energy, sleep schedules. My goodness, I've battled a lot with insomnia and still do to a certain extent now. But yeah, just that feeling of not getting restful sleep. Nutrition is a big one as well. I'm trying different types of diets. Eating certain food groups, not eating certain food groups, all of that kind of stuff. And then trying out different pacing tools that the specialists recommend, and my own research kind of suggests one could try as well. After the diagnosis, it wasn't just one big crash that for me gave a big realization. It was multiple ones. So there was just a continuous pattern of crashing in the day, during school, after school, at weekends. So it became increasingly more difficult to do anything other than just the one thing of school and getting through school, which the higher you get through those years, the more work you have to do, the more intense it becomes, and it kind of all becomes a bit like, But I managed to get through it all, and I did okay. I got my GCSEs, I got my A levels, I got 2 degrees and 2 further qualifications as well. So, despite the specialist saying that I would never get past GCSEs, let alone A levels or anything above that, I'm quite chuffed that I've proven them wrong. And the first time I came across yoga was during the A levels. So, I think it was just a yoga teacher who had offered to run a couple of classes at my school, and I joined, and I really enjoyed it. It kind of filled a sort of movement hole in my heart that was missing from having dropped like ballet, modern and gymnastics, but particularly ballet. That was the hardest one to give up, because that was originally the dream. I wanted to become a ballerina. Found yoga at around A level. Then from there I practiced yoga for about 8 years. Not a consistent practice, but I always kind of dove into it when, I don't know, whenever it felt good, whenever I felt drawn to it. And that's all the way from school, it took me through uni, through modelling, and then in 2017, after I graduated, I had a massive crash that lasted probably for about 1 or 2 years. Again, that was a period where I started to get into my yoga a little bit more, still quite inconsistent, but it became my root, my little base, my connection point. And then after that, I decided to train as an actor, which I did, and it went well. And then 2020 happened, and the entire world crashed. And so did I. Again. Not soon after I had just recently recovered. That period led me into consistent practice of yoga and a deeper practice of yoga as well, where the membership that I had at the time offered a lot of classes on like yoga philosophy, and just kind of dove a little bit deeper into yoga as a whole, not just yoga asana, the physical practice of yoga, but the philosophy behind it, and more practices of yoga that we can take off the mat as well. Just going back to my notes. It was through that I came to the realization, do you know what's the most important thing to me? My health, managing the ME, and getting to the point with the ME where I felt strong and I felt like, yeah, I kind of got a grip on this, and I can live my life to the fullest and really enjoy it and not feel like it's a massive hindrance. With that concept of my health taking a priority over any career, I then, and also have feeling that just managing my health and managing the ME and the lifestyle I needed to live to manage the ME felt very all-consuming. So that's then where the idea came from. Maybe that should become my business. Maybe that's how I can create a living and create some kind of purpose from this whole experience. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I've decided to do. And that's where the healing really began and really started to take shape, with the acceptance of where I was at, the acceptance of having this illness. Long overdue. Took me what? I don't know, 16 years? Anyway, we are here now, and it's all good. The healing began, accepting my reality, looking for new superpowers in the previously perceived weaknesses, and just really going for it. And it enabled me to then structure my days and my support in new ways that actually helped me to thrive and flourish and do a lot more in my life. And part of that was exploring new ways to move that made me feel good and connected to my body, that made me feel empowered and physically stronger and energized as well. And the energized one was a big one, because anything that makes me feel energized, I always automatically want more of. So experiencing that through yoga and through practices of yoga, yes, give me more. And it's not perfect, you know, I still have my wobbly days, I still have my down days, but I do come back stronger in a way, and I come back from those dips quicker, and it's due to the work that I do for myself. And I think a combination of having lived with this for 18 years and also turning 30 now, and my priorities in life being different, has all helped to me getting used and accepting this different approach to life. And quite frankly, sometimes I wonder why I've been fighting it for so long. This slower, gentler, more relaxed way of getting through life. It's really calming. So I don't know why I fought it for so long, but nevertheless I did. In the end, I figured that for me, healing wasn't about bouncing back to a previous version of who I was before, the last crash or the last wobbly day or whatever, but rather finding ways of bouncing forward, whether that's bouncing forward massively or if it's just a tiny little step. Any little bit that got me closer to something slower, more compassionate, more powerful, that was the direction I wanted to go towards. I finally discovered the importance and impact of regulating my nervous system, and the yoga practice as well as my yoga teacher training course helped massively in that, as did a private one-to-one neurophysio session with one of my yoga teachers, Celeste Pereira. Oh, sorry, self. I think I might just butchered your surname there. And that was an absolute game changer, working with Celeste on a one-to-one basis. Has been incredible, and I've got my personalised little toolkit that I use on down days, on energy dips, in the mornings when I wake up, just to invigorate my brain and soothe my nervous system and get me up on a good level. Also, my yoga teacher training course, which Celeste was one of my yoga teachers, as well as Hannah Barrett, who is absolutely incredible, and the two of them together are one hell of a powerhouse, and their yoga teacher training is absolutely phenomenal. And the things that I've learned, not just from a yoga and yoga philosophy perspective, but also from sort of a scientific perspective, it has been a massive game changer, and I can't wait to share what I've learned with you through this channel. Ooh. And so over the years of living with me, doing my teacher training and my own personal practice of yoga, I have gathered a toolbox of simple, accessible practices that help me feel safe in my body again, practices that have given me clarity and steadiness, and the ability to say, I've got this. And you know what? I really do. I'm setting up this business now, working a couple of hours every day, or most days at least. I'm still acting and modelling. I've got a show coming up in August, which I'm really excited for. And I achieved that through the foundations of what I now call the slow power method, which includes practices of grounding through yoga, both on and off the mat, and exploring ways of moving in your own way, in your own time, soothing the central nervous system, practices of breath work and meditation. I personally also do tapping, EFT, but I'm not qualified yet to teach that, but I will be bringing that onto the platform as well, very soon, as soon as I possibly can. And enriching practices as well, so good nutrition, building good habits, creating a compassionate structure that enables me to flourish and thrive and gets me doing the things that I love. And these are the things I'm going to be bringing to this channel and eventually to the app. And it's not a promise that it'll fix the ME. It's not a cure for ME or other chronic illnesses, but it is a way to reconnect to yourself, to feel safe, supported, and strong again. And I'm creating this because this is what I wish I had access to when I was first diagnosed. When you're first diagnosed, it's a very long process, and then after you've been diagnosed, it can be a long process to recovery. Some people never recover. I'm still hoping I might. Never give up hope. But yeah, I didn't want anybody else to feel as lonely as I did. and I want others to feel that there's a place that they can turn to for support, for understanding outside of a clinical space. Again, speaking from my own experience, some of my most healing moments and experiences and learning curves of this illness has been when I've spoken to people that I know who also have ME, which, by the way, is only three people of the 250,000 reported cases within the UK, and 2 of them I only met in the last 5 years. So, where is everyone? So yeah, that's my little story. If any of that resonates, if any of my story feels familiar, then I'm really glad you found this space. So subscribe if you'd like to walk this path with me, if you'd like to explore the slow power method and what it has to offer. I'll be here every week, sharing stories, tools, and small ways to help you regulate your nervous system, reclaim your rhythm, in your time, in your way. So I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe. Sending love. Bye.